John Jorgensen, but John, who are the rest of the folks in the band?
Well, we have, okay, thanks. I'm John, and this is Jason Anick on the violin. Rick Reed on the percussion. Simon Planting on the bass. And Kevin Nolan on the guitar.
Well, thank you very much. We'll get to know John and his band very well over the next few days, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for coming. Okay. Feel free to come and go as you want. We all know that you got to get on and off the stage, and be back at whatever, a few minutes before the break. Thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Freedom to Connect. It's great to see all my friends and colleagues in the audience. This year, more than any other year in the history of Freedom to Connect, we have relied on and depend on our sponsors. And if Alcatel-Lucent had not stepped forward to be lead sponsor, it wouldn't have happened this year. So, and it's not just Alcatel-Lucent, it's Alcatel-Lucent, the team in Alcatel-Lucent that builds municipal networks for cities, such as Lafayette, Louisiana, or Chattanooga. They just got a contract in Chattanooga. Bristol, is it Virginia or Tennessee they built? Virginia. Is Neil Salzman here yet? Harlow? Harlow Hagee. Harlow, stand up so people can see. People who want a network built for them, go see this gentleman right here. And say, Cynthia?
Yes, from the state and local government.
Okay. Okay, so that's our lead sponsor, Alcatel-Lucent, and the hidden message of Freedom to Connect is buy stuff from these guys. Yeah. They're good. They know how to build municipal networks. Okay, I'd like to thank three other sponsors who were very generous in their support. The Sunlight Foundation. Ellen Miller has just done a magnificent job in taking some public interest grant money and using it to open up government documents, expose a lot of what's usually hidden in Congress, and in fact, sunlight is a good disinfectant, and the Sunlight Foundation has gone a long way towards making sure that our government opens up and stays airy and pure and the way a democracy should be. Towards. We ain't there yet. So the Millennium Communications Group, Ron Castle, are you here? Ron back there stepped up with some supporting funds for Freedom to Connect. Thank you very much. And then there's this little company out in Silicon Valley. I think they do search. Name starts with a G. And Google has also generously supported Freedom to Connect. We've got two technical support sponsors. Atlantec Online provides the screaming fast 65 megabits per second in each direction as we measured it last night. If it doesn't stay up, it's probably our fault because not only the intelligence is at the edge, but usually most of the problems too. 37 Signals provides the chat here, and they provide a bunch of other things. They have a unique way of doing applications. They don't load it up with features. They just give you the ones that you need, kind of unusual against something like Microsoft. And then a lot of people helped us get the word out. And let me just go through these names. The Fiber to the Home Council, Broadband Properties Summit and Scott DeGarmo, the New America Foundation, David Chafee's Shovel-Ready Broadband Report, the Washington Network Group, Jack Hittery's Opinion Source, the Media Working Group, the Strategic Internet Consulting Group, headed by Freedom to Connect's Marketing Director, Isabel Hilborn, who isn't here but will be shortly, and One Web Day, which was founded by Susan Crawford and is now, I don't know if everyone's gotten the memo, but it's now ably led by Mitch Kapoor, who was also played a founding role in the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Susan had to step aside because she now has government responsibilities that, yes, which, and many of us are very pleased that she does. Thanks also to the ECOM conference, to TMCnet, to the CTO Roundtable, to Dwayne Hendricks, our in-house networking guru, to Judy Clark, standing there and making sure the chat works and stuff, to Tiffany Graham Golden and John Summers, who work at AFI here. It's such a pleasure to work with them every year. It's absolutely fabulous to be here, and Josh Bohr, I should say, and we've gotten to know a lot of the people here, and it's like coming home in many respects. Gary Arlen, Gary, are you here? Gary's not here yet, but Gary, I consider him sort of the co-founder. He created the relationship with AFI, and I'll always be grateful for that. David Eisner of the House of Musical Traditions, who helped us book this great band, and Kim J. Ambler, who's been a personal friend and of considerable support along the way. So, what else do I have to do here? So let's have a round of applause for everyone who helped, and our volunteers. We have at least 8 or 10 volunteers who came in early and helped out. So round of applause for everyone who helped, please. So usually, or at least in the past, I've given a speech to lay the groundwork, et cetera, et cetera. This year, I think we all know why we're here. We're here to build networks, to build the fastest, fattest pipe we know how to build. Will it be a dumb pipe? Well, I hope so, because that's how you make it fast, and that's how you make it the most useful. But I don't have a speech. I think I will let the program that I've put together speak for me, and I'd like to invite Joanne Hovis to come up and her panel. Joanne, in the couple of years I've known her, has become a real hero of mine. She is the president of Columbia Telecommunications Corporation, which is a national public interest communications engineering and consulting firm. She is currently helping to develop municipal fiber plans for Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco. She's working in the place I grew up on, Cape Cod, with the Open Cape people, and she's just one of the most knowledgeable, great, let's see, I don't want to, I can't say enough good things about her, but I will turn it over to Joanne and let you find out for yourself. And Joanne, thanks so much for coming and putting this panel together. And go for it.
Thank you. This is me blushing, which I still do, even at my age. Thank you, David. It's really a pleasure to be here and to see all of you. And it is an extraordinary privilege to have the 4 gentlemen to my right that I do. And I'm very grateful to them for being here.
Could I'm sorry.
Take 2.
Yeah, in the spirit of Freedom to Connect, we're my act is not quite together. We have several innovations going on here. We've got a chat, we've got an audio and video stream. How's the audio and video stream doing, Judy? A1, okay. So if you're out there in network land, you can participate free of charge. We believe in eating our own dog food. We also have a screaming network here. Dwayne, would you like to say a few words about the network? Dwayne Hendricks. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, but I did want to do this housekeeping first.
Good morning. As David indicated earlier, we have they have a new network here at AFI, 65 megabits symmetric. So we've redone, for those of you that attended this event in the past, we've redone the whole network configuration. So we're also, this time as a first, offering 802.11n. So we're doing 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. So there's two open SSIDs, F2C-BG, F2C-N. Take your pick. Any network problems or issues, see me, and I'll be the first to say there's really nothing wrong. It's you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And there is a chat that everyone with the Wi-Fi connected computer and a browser running on that computer can participate in. Judy, do you want to say a few words about how you get onto the chat?
Email me.
Email Judy C. JUDIC at minimedia.com if you have any problems about getting onto the chat. It is okay to tweet that. Remote participants are welcome. Oh, and thank you. The tweet hashtags for this are F2C and F2C09. If you don't know what a tweet hashtag is, it's all right. The Technorati tags for this, anything you might want to blog or publish about this conference, are F2C and F2C09. So my apologies for the interruption and the delay, but back to Joanne. Now it's all yours.
No apologies necessary, thanks. And along the lines of talking about what we have here, and it's very impressive and a lot of fun on the technology side, but also in the spirit of our conversation today, I just want to note that the county in which you sit, Montgomery County, Maryland, was instrumental in bringing fiber to this building when AFI first decided to locate here. And I think I can go so far as to say that the prospect of having direct fiber to this building was part of what brought AFI here, as it did Discovery just down the street. So there we have an old but a very good story about municipal fiber. And on that note, let me get started. Say thank you to my panelists, who I will introduce in a moment. I also want to be sure that I am sensitive to time constraints, David.
You have an hour and 12 minutes.
Okay. All right, thank you. So give me some hand signals or something, because I don't have any kind.
If we get less than an hour, you'll get this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Easy to read. So obviously we sit here today, we start this conference at a remarkable and very exciting time. I hope that excitement is felt around the country. Certainly here in Washington, we are feeling it. And I will say, coming from a local government perspective, that municipalities and counties have been at the forefront, on the front lines of this fight for 20 years, building communications networks or trying to incentivize or persuade the private sector to build those networks. And now, for the first time in a long time, we feel that we have a partner in the federal government. We feel we have a commitment from the federal government that we haven't seen in quite a while. And the big question is, what is that commitment going to look like? How's it going to play out? And is it going to have real consequences on the ground in communities and in towns and in rural areas and in cities and in suburbs, where the need for more networks, any network at all in some cases, but certainly bigger networks just about everywhere, where that need is so enormous. That's certainly recognized by localities. Glad to see that it's now recognized to some degree here in Washington. So I think what we're going to talk about today is what we can learn from a variety of different experiences and perspectives of people who have in various ways done this. And what's so fascinating, I think, and exciting about this panel is the broad range of different perspectives and experiences that we have on the panel. So let me introduce you to our speakers today, and then what I'd like to do is ask each of them to speak for a few minutes, just so that we all are starting with the same basic information about what their projects are, what their experiences are, and where they come from. Then we'll have a bit of a conversation up here and take all of your questions, and hopefully a very, very interactive and lively conversation. In fact, I think it's safe to say that it will be that. Starting on my far right, Bill Schreier joins us from Seattle, where he is the Chief Technology Officer. And I asked Bill, how would you like to be introduced? And he said, farmer, physicist, cop, high school teacher, Army officer, CTO, and tweeter. So we got a request for this. If anybody would like to follow his Twitter feed, it's Bill Schreier, BILLSCHRIER. And Bill brings us an urban perspective, a big city perspective, and I think a very important one in an environment where some of the conversation in Washington is very focused on rural, and there's less of a sense of how rural, urban, and suburban projects can learn from each other and work together. Sitting to Bill's left is Lev Garnick, and Lev is the Chief Information Officer of Case Western Reserve University and the founder of One Community. And I should say, we have here on this panel without question 4 visionaries: an urban visionary, a university community institutional visionary. I'm not sure how to sum that up, Lev, but One Community, and Lev will talk about it himself and tell you what it is, but it's one of the most remarkable and interesting stories in institutional broadband in the United States, in fiber, and what fiber can do. To Lev's left is Dirk van der Voorde, who joins us from Amsterdam. And Dirk is the program manager for broadband for the city of Amsterdam. He represents the city in the public-private partnership that is CityNet Amsterdam, the fiber optic network that is building to the home and business throughout Amsterdam. And Dirk brings us a view from Europe, but also a view from a municipality that has done this at the highest levels and has really gotten down on the dirt in every way. And I meant that in a very positive way. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop talking really soon and let these guys talk, which will be a good thing. But let me first introduce Tim Nolte, who is sitting right here to my right. And Tim brings us yet another perspective. This is the view from rural America, or from a part of rural America, and a view, I think, with a lot of experience to back it up. Tim is the former head of Burlington Telecom, a municipal fiber-to-the-home system, and he is the current head of East Central Vermont Fiber, which is a consortium of municipalities that are building fiber in rural parts of Vermont. And Tim also, at the highest levels and down in the dirt, getting his hands dirty building fiber, has some really important experiences to share with us. So let me stop talking, ask each of you to speak 3 or 4 minutes, just talking about what your project is and what you're doing and what your process has been, the things that you think are most important, and then we can take the conversation from there. Tim, will you start?
Sure. 3 or 4 minutes. Okay.
Sorry.
As an Irishman, that's hard to do, but I'll try. I think for the people in this room at least, there would be a widespread recognition that in the United States now there is a reasonably solid model for how you do municipal telecom. There are about 45 municipal telecom companies up and running in the United States. Leave aside the half dozen or so that are wholesale only, which is a financial disaster. The 35 or 38 that are full service are all doing pretty much okay. And in differing degrees, municipalities are not immune to poor management any more than private sector is, but by and large they're sound and succeeding. And the model for all of those, however, primarily, in fact, exclusively, it's one town or small city, usually of some reasonable size. The smallest ones are down in the 7,000 range. The larger ones, like Louisiana, like Lafayette, are 100,000 plus. But a reasonable size. Burlington was 40,000. Most of them have an electric utility that forms the institutional foundation. And most of them are compact geographical areas with a reasonable degree of density. And as I said, by and large, most of them work, and how you make it work now is getting to be fairly well known. But there are 45 to 50 million Americans who live in rural areas which do not have those characteristics. Meaning they are not dense, they do not have towns large enough to take on board the responsibilities of a thing like this, and I say there are just too many of them and too small to undertake this sort of thing. All of those 45 to 50 million Americans right now face an effectively indefinite future when they have no chance of seeing fiber to the home as their means of connecting with the world. The EC Fiber network, which is 22 towns in Eastern Europe. I worked in Eastern Europe for 15 years. In Eastern Vermont. It's 100,000 square miles, 55,000 people there. It's all rural by RUS standards. It's all